right, so your final model, your final presentation model, okay, is no longer a design model. Everything that we've been working on so far is considered a sketch model or a design model, okay? It's a model that we're comfortable just hacking into to make an opening that might go to a certain direction. Or it's one that we might cut a piece off and add a piece to. The final model needs to be a presentation quality model. And that model, this time around, we're going to ask you to build it out of 2 different materials, okay? One of the materials that we're asking you to build it out of is 2-ply museum board. And this is 2-ply museum board right here, okay? It comes in a large sheet. You will not need this big a sheet. My suggestion to you is that you partner up with somebody and you buy a half of a sheet with that person. Okay? So unless you feel like buying an entire sheet of the museum board, you cannot save this by standing it up somewhere and having it do that. It'll just stay that way after a while. So it has to stay flat. So it doesn't make sense to buy a whole sheet and then try and save it somewhere unless you have a flat spot for it. Okay? So we want the canopy structure and the terminal building built out of 2-ply museum board. Okay? Any questions about that? All right. One other thing that we want is we want the floor of the plaza, which, remember, the floor of the plaza goes into your building a little bit, where the glass wall is, to be made out of gray, thin chipboard. So very thin gray chipboard. This is like angling down, so I don't know how much of that it picked up. So we want the plaza to be basically shown as gray. All right, that way it distinguishes it from the areas that are around it. Is there any questions about that? No? Okay. I'm going to have Melissa work on kind of coming up with, a model that shows the plaza and shows a building and the canopy and the buses. Okay. There's one last thing that we haven't had a chance to talk about that we need to make sure you guys talk about, and that is that the buses have to have a low wall, okay, that essentially closes them off from anybody just walking back there. Okay? You can use a portion of your building as a wall. Okay? You could use a portion of your canopy if it comes down to the ground as a wall. But there is going to definitely have to be a wall, right, that comes and closes off where the double doors are. So there's a double gate that exists where this existing wall is, okay, like automatic doors that open up. And you have to bring a wall to it so that no matter where I am, I can't just walk up to the buses. I have to go through the terminal building, buy my ticket, go past a conductor, then get on the buses. All right? So those are the things that are going to be required for your final model. This is actually a pretty good example of how something can look interesting but be too tall. There's people, right? And so this thing is like 1, 2, this is like a 3-story tower or a 3-story building. It's too big, too tall. Okay? So I'm lowering that now to the maximum height being 2 fingers, which 2 fingers is right there. About like right here. All right, any questions? Right, go ahead and stop the recording.